And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break. Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. Our latest episode of the PCC has us talking about the Switch 2, and also as well our most anticipated TV, movie, and video games coming up for 2025. So catch that as well. Also, if you want to go ahead and check out my thoughts on CES, that was last week. Also, of course, I was talking my best of pop culture for 2024 on the PC Multiverse last week. It's still available wherever you get your podcasts. Also, as well, of course, I mentioned as well the best show you're not watching, Severance on Apple TV Plus. Giving you a heads up. Watch Severance and you'll be glad you did, and you'll thank me later for it. But also, as well, of course, John Casas here, Mr. Clutch Talk at Lakers Corner. Go ahead and like and subscribe to his channels right away and get the very latest on his thoughts. A little smackage on Joe, perhaps, on who he thinks is the GOAT. I will just leave it between you two, but go ahead and check out his latest video talking about who he thinks is the greatest of all time in the NBA. Right there for you on Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner, indeed. But also, as well, of course, our good friends, the Lakerholics crew, hopefully coming up with another great show this weekend. But also check out Jamie Sweet's latest 5 Things articles on Lakerholics.com. Of course, also, as well, Laker Tom is there. And, of course, all the great folks that helped this channel run. Of course, all the great people that were on Playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. We had Alan, who was on for the first time. We had Doobie, who was on for the first time. We had Zach. We had Danny. We had Laker Nick. We had Henry. We had John. We had a whole crew on for you at playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. Our good friend Stone Hansen. Also as well, of course, Alfred Esmond, Legend 350. Support those great guys. Empire Jeff TV covering the Lakers and Dodgers. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Yo, all the great places, all the great people. Please go ahead, like and support. And of course, don't forget, you got to hit that like, you got to hit that subscribe, got to go ahead and help us out any way you can, including becoming a member today to get videos, articles, shorts, the band short that probably was one of the main reasons why TikTok was banned. Well, that short is only available to members. If you become a member today for $2.99 a month, you'll get to see it right there for you. But please like and subscribe to get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with the latest Lakers Fast Break podcast. So the Lakers in rivalry week. I didn't know the Washington Wizards were a rival, but rivalry week. There you go. See, John, I did mess up on my pronunciations. There you go. Absolutely. But rivalry week with Boston on the horizon. The Lakers got a tune-up on Tuesday night against the Washington Wizards. And for a while, it looked like the same MO where the Lakers played down to their competition through 3 quarters. It wasn't very pleasant, but Robert Wheeler said it the other day when we were on the Snack Pack, 11-1 against teams under 500. So the odds were good that the Lakers would finish them off. And in the 4th quarter, they did, holding the Washington Wizards to only 11 points. LeBron looking for his triple-double, literally and figuratively. If you watched him, he was getting mad at his teammates because he wanted that last rebound so he can go ahead and get his triple-double and get out of the game. So those of you say stat padding, whatnot, I think he was in the 4th quarter, kind of little stat padding a little bit. But hey, when they pulled away, you could go ahead and start doing things like that as the Lakers finally dusted off the Washington Wizards to make it a comfortable victory, 111-88. And here today to go ahead and talk about today's game, it's a good man indeed. Again, he is the mastermind behind Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner. It is the man. Who is he going to piss off today in the chat? Let's find out. It is, of course, John Costa. John, great to have you here. Big smile on his face. Always brightening up our day. John, a comfortable victory for a while there. It didn't look like it was going to be because they kept losing double-digit leads left and right, but finally they pulled away with an early 4th quarter run. It wasn't the most beautiful of fourth quarters when you only score 22, but when the opponent only scores 11 and are really that bad, go ahead and you can finally get Bronny James in the game and LeBron James a little bit of rest as they tune up for the Celtics on Thursday.
You know what, Gerald? I'm honestly, and first of all, what's up, everybody? What's up, Zach? What's up? Doobie is always my brother. CJ, Mayu, and, I want to say this. BLW916. I said this would happen, guys. I said, watch as soon as like this game's over, there's gonna be people talking about like, like LeBron's, stat pattern, like LeFraud and all this and all that. And hey, like I hear you guys. I'm a big LeBron guy myself, but I said it in the live stream. I totally understand why people hate him, or people can hate him. But it's just funny if you don't like the guy. But hey, like how Doobie said, shout out my boy Doobie. He's 40. He's fucking 40. Let him do it. Let him get to it. But happy to be here, guys. And about us playing the Celtics, I'm kind of concerned because not of course playing one of the team that just won a fucking championship last year, but I'm really kind of concerned because we won this game. And if you know anything about the Lakers, we have not for the last 2 years been able to string. Actually, I guess we started off the year on that pretty good, like 5 game win streak or whatnot. But we just have not been good at stringing wins over and over and over. And I damn near would have rather us lose this game so they're ready to go come Boston because I already know this is how Lakers work. They get a win one game, they're gonna get complacent. They're gonna come into Boston thinking, "Oh, we got to win." But I hope not because I hope they see how bad the Wizards were because boy oh boy did we play bad. Like we had some really bad possessions. We had some really bad mistakes that with a good team it would have not flown. But thank the Lord it was the Wizards and we were able to get a win. But what a monster dunk by LeBron! Monster dunk.
Yes. Gustavo is in the chat and he has a great question for us. And then, of course, Ali, I did not forget your question during playback. I want to go ahead and hit up on that as far as the Western Conference here in a sec. When I go ahead and cover what the Lakers record is and where they stand right now in the Western Conference. But I want to hit up Gustavo's question first. John, what do you think will happen on Thursday if they play like they played for most of today?
Oh man, a blowout, a blowout. a, a real good flat fashion Celtics to Lakers blowout, unfortunately.
Okay.
But BL, I say
Nine
this.
ones. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
say this for the last 5 years. Blah blah. What do you mean? Say what for the last 5 years? That they stat padding? Yeah. I mean, hey, fuck it, man. When you're 40 years old and it's against the Wizards, do it. I say. Yeah.
Again, with the Lakers with the victory, though, John, 111-88 on the season. The Lakers do move to 23-18. They're still amazing enough after the past 10 days. Can you believe this, John? They are still amazing with all the up and downs that they've had in the past week to 10 days. They're still in sixth place in the Western Conference. Amazingly enough. I know that's a very hard skill for them to do. It just seemingly like they were going to drop in the standings, but Dallas has been like, eh. Sacramento has been on fire, but they're not quite up there with the Lakers just yet, although they are one game back in the win column. I want to say this, though. The other teams, Ali made a good point. I wanted to ask, with other teams in the Western Conference, right now, what is your confidence level about the Lakers? Especially, okay, OKC is, you put them off to the side because they've run away with this thing. They're 7 games up already with half the season left. Okay, it is what it is. Houston, I think, is playing a little bit above their heads right now. I don't know if they'll regress to the mean, but how far they will. But I think they will not have the same second half that they had the first half. Memphis is the wild card in all this because I know that Xbox is a real big fan of Memphis, and if they stay healthy, John, I think that they do have a chance to go ahead and be number 2. Remember, they were the second seed 2 seasons ago. So this is not unfamiliar territory for them. Denver is the one that's been on the rise in recent games because they have finally found some health. They finally found some continuity on that roster. Their bench is still a little bit suspect, but Jokic is still getting it done. The Clippers with Kawhi coming back, we saw how good they looked at when they were all together. We're going to see how good they look together against Boston on Wednesday, which might be the best thing for the Lakers is to know that they're going to have to play the Lakers on the second of a back-to-back. Dallas needs to get Luka back in order to go ahead and be in this conversation. But Sacramento is obviously the way they've been playing, the way they've been surging under Doug Christie. We're not even talking about Minnesota, Phoenix, who made another trade for some picks to see if they could try and improve their roster more. Golden State, which has always been an up and down case this season, and San Antonio. So your thoughts on some of the rising teams and how much they compare to what the Lakers have been doing comparatively, my friend?
I'm gonna be honest. To your original point about us being in that 6 seed, yes, surprisingly we are in that 6 seed, but the same thing that we said in in the playback that they're in that 6 seed, but they're also 2 games out of the 11th seed. So in that in that same vein, it works both ways. To your point about the Western Conference, I mean, you summed it up. You summed it up really well, right? With OKC, with the Rockets. The Rockets, I'm not fully bought in, but I do think it'll be one of those regular season, champion type things where they have a great regular season, but playoff basketball is just played totally different than regular season basketball, and want to see if they're going to be able to make that adjustment. As far as the Grizzlies, I do think that they can pose somewhat of a threat come playoffs. I'll be honest with you, the Nuggets, as long as you have that man Jokic, who's probably the best player in his last decade, you always got a fighting chance, right? And my thing that I say is let's say we end up finishing at that fifth or sixth seed, right? Let's say we end up getting there. Great, kudos. I'm happy. I'm happy about it. I guess standing wise, less games. Don't gotta do the playing situation. But I think if we get the sixth seed, I know you play the third seed. If it ends up being Memphis, I don't know, guys. I don't know how I feel about that. The only team that I would feel somewhat good about playing or better than playing would be the Rockets, only because, like I said, playoff basketball just totally different. But with the Rockets, my only fear is that's a young team. They're getting up and down. Is Braun going to be able to keep up? Or is JJ going to get out coached by a top tier elite coach in Ime Udoka and whatnot? So even if we do finish as that fifth and sixth seed, Gerald, like I think we wouldn't even truly be, a fifth and sixth seed level team, which ultimately would just be setting us up for failure. I'm gonna be honest with you. But
Robert Wheeler is stunned right now. I'll just tell you that in the chat.
let me see, because I'm not. I gotta.
He
I'm not
said
a.
what? Big old what? He's stunned right now. So and look
Ah!
who's here.
Oh, bro, what the fuck?
Alan
Where
was
were you?
wondering. Alan YST was wondering if, and I said, Joe will lurk in the corners and the shadows and appear when he wants to. It is a good man indeed. It is, of course, Joe Soro. Joe, good to have you here. Simblades with a Y.com. His game, of course, Corrupt, COREUPT on Steam. Joe, but before, John, did you want to add on anything to Robert's stunned silence as far
I
as
mean,
your?
I would love to know what he's stunned by that I said. I mean, really just said that the okay, she's running away with it. I would rather play the Rockets instead of Memphis, only because the Rockets are young and they don't have that yet playoff experience, and I just think game is just gonna get different. But that also I also pointed the cons of playing the Rockets. They have
Well,
extremely
again,
fast.
but they're so high up. Even if they go like 500 the rest of the way, they'll still be like a fifth or sixth seeded team. That's where I expect them. If they regress to the means, that's probably where I would put them. I don't put them any lower than that, John, unless they really have a fall or get an injury. like to Sengun or something like that. I really think that this is a team. Houston's got a lot of talent on that team. They don't have a star, which is something that they need, but I think they are playing a little bit above their head. But we'll see. Denver's the one I'm worried about, and Denver is starting to play a lot like that team. Like tonight, they blew out the 76ers by 35. They are starting to play like that team that everybody has expected him to be. Did Embiid play in that game? Let me go ahead and check to see if
Denver.
they play.
This is what I'll say, and then
No,
I'll
Embiid did
want
not
Joe.
play. Embiid always. Now get this, guys. If you know your NBA, you know two things in life. Three things in life: debt, taxes, and Embiid is scared to play Jokic in Denver. I'll just say
Look,
that.
this is the last thing I'll say, and then I'll kick it off to my brother, man, my brother Joe. But look, what I'll say is this: as long as I think Jokic has proven that he can get to a point where he can do what younger LeBron was doing, where he may not turn it all the way up come regular season, but then a couple games before playoffs, are turning it on, and he just got an on and off switch that he could take his team from looks like you're gearing up to go into the finals, or I just don't really care about regular season games. But Joe, what's up, brother?
How you doing, John?
Before we get it to Joe, Robert Wheeler does have his standardized question that he has at you. It is, John, is for you. If the Lakers finish as the 4th seed, you would pick Memphis or the Clippers to beat the Lakers. Memphis doesn't have shooters. Ja constantly gets hurt, and Kawhi you can't trust with health. Well, let's just say they're all healthy, Robert. Let's say they are all healthy. All these teams are healthy going into the playoffs. Are the Lakers as good now as they were 2 seasons ago against Memphis?
I think we would lose to both teams, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And that's just me being real. But I guess I'd rather play between the Memphis and Clippers. I'd probably rather play Memphis than Clippers, to be honest with you.
Because there's a history already there.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, I agree, guys, that Denver is not the same. But Denver will never be the same after losing Bruce Brown. But Jokic just that fucking good. Joe, talk to us though.
Also here today is good man indeed. It is, of course, our own Joe Sorrell, Mr. Ox, 1947 on LakersBall.com. And, of course, I told you with Simblades and Corrupt on Steam. Joe, good to have you here. You were silent and absent on playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. But we had a ton of people. I don't know if you got a chance to see it. We had a ton of people on playback, so much appreciated for that. Your thoughts? The Lakers played with their food for a while until an early run in the 4th quarter where the Wizards in the 4th quarter could only muster up 11 points and played exactly as a 6th-win team does. Your thoughts on the Lakers getting a tune-up tonight? I would have liked to have been more comfortable earlier and given LeBron and AD some rest, but they go into Thursday's game against the Celtics with a win and a comfortable one at that.
We don't live in an NBA where it's easy to sit guys anymore. I think we've discussed that several times on the show. The performance went the way it should. You should beat a 6-win team by 23. So it's not I mean, it wouldn't have mattered if they won by 33, 43. 23 is a pretty safe number. Pretty good number. I can't really assess too much from this game other than the fact that they did what they were supposed to do. AD had a good game. LeBron had a statistic that only has happened once ever, which is a 40-year-old getting a triple-double. Karl Malone was the last guy to do that. I believe he was a Laker when he did that, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And yeah. And this might have been, you might have been, how old were you would be? You would have been 4 years old, Johnny.
We now relate everything to how old was, like, for instance, earlier when we talked about Office Max and Office Depot, how old were you, John, when you went into Office Max or Office Depot or Staples last time around? And you said like 7?
Yeah.
Something like that? Yeah. Something.
It's important because it's the perfect sweet spot. He was born in 2000.
1999, January 1999.
1999, January 1999. So you got that sweet spot. So you're 26.
Yeah, I'm 26.
Yeah.
Yes,
so,
and I'll add my brother was born in 1994, and I was doing everything my brother was doing. So the Rugrats, Powerpuff Girls, like all this shit that I did the 90s big kids were doing, I was on. But
Good,
I'll take
good,
whatever.
good. So you're a true 21st century in.
You were
Yes.
born just before the Matrix.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, I was watching that movie just
He was
about an
coming.
hour
He was
ago.
coming out of the pod, Joe. He was coming out of the pod like Keanu Reeves was. You know. There you go.
Is it Damazin?
Damazine.
Damazine. Be honest, this win shows us we are contenders. I can hear the sarcasm in that, my friend.
Denver is scared to play us. I can hear the sarcasm in that one too.
Yeah, that's a good
How
one
many
too.
times? How many of the, what is it? How many? 14 out of 15? 13 out of 15?
I don't really want to talk about
Yeah,
the
I
details
don't.
of that.
Yeah, let's not talk about that yet.
What we do want to talk about is the most important part of the next few weeks is going to be something I'm posting now for everyone to see. So that date right there, folks, February 6th at 3 p.m. East. I believe it's Eastern Standard Time. So that's 12 o'clock our time here on the West Coast. That right there will probably tell the fans of the Lakers where the Lakers will stand the rest of the season. I saw a very interesting trade today by the Phoenix Suns with the Utah Jazz, and that is the Phoenix Suns were able to acquire draft picks.
Three for one.
So for those of you who have been watching the show for the last few days and have been probably following Jeff and I as well, talking about the Dodgers. Dodgers seem to have the baseball world in flux right now because there's things going on, apparently, that a lot of the public didn't really pay attention to. It still had been going on, but not at this length. So now people are learning a little bit more about how to, I don't know if circumvent is the word. It's not circumvent. It's ways to do business that isn't mainstream. We know as a basic collective bargaining agreement crowd that we know that in the NBA you have to have matching contracts. That's an easy one to remember. But what I used to say about 5, 6, 7 years ago was I didn't really learn of draft swaps until about 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah.
I never knew about those things.
Well, let me go ahead and get everybody up to speed on it, Joe, because again, I have some thoughts on it. I think Danny Ainge got away with a good one on the Phoenix Suns because he still has 11 first-round picks, I think, over the next 7 years or something. They still have a lot of picks in Utah, so don't anybody feeling sorry for them should not. But I will say again, when it comes to what was done earlier today with the trade, the first thing is again, Phoenix traded an unrestricted 2031 trade, 2031 first round draft pick. Is that correct, Joe? It's 2031, correct?
Correct.
Yes, 2031 unprotected for 3 picks, 3 first rounders. The first one is next year, but it's going to be Cleveland's because it's the worst of between Cleveland and Phoenix. No, to Cleveland, Minnesota. And that one is going to end up being a number 30, Joe. So that's almost like getting a second round pick there. But the other two are the worst picks, whichever is worse between Cleveland, Minnesota, and Utah in those successive years. I think in 29, 31 or something like that. 27, 29, excuse me. So, I mean, those picks may turn out to be something, but next year's pick, yeah, that one's not too attractive because that's the last pick in the first round because Cleveland's doing so well.
What to come out of this? What we need to. This is to the point of what I was saying is we don't know the entire process of a collective bargaining agreement, how trades can be manufactured. Before then, there was and I'm not going to go into the details on this. I'm just going to give you the basic info just so you know. So in the NFL, there's a thing called the poison pill where a team that's trying to acquire a free agent can put in a poison pill and in order for the team that person's on to bring that player back, they have to guarantee all of the money that they're being offered by the other team. And that's something we learned years ago. This was like 20 years ago that I didn't know about. So what we saw today is maybe a glimmer of hope, but the problem is it's still Rob Pelinka driving the ship. There are ways to possibly acquire assets, it seems. Can something like that happen here before February 6th so that the Lakers can truly go after a possible third guy? Because if they get a third guy that can score and hold his own at least a little bit on the other side of the court on defense or whatever, there is a chance, because parity right now is sitting in between the 3, even to some degree, maybe even the 2, but the 3 to 8 area is 100% up for grabs at this point. And that's something that we're going to have to wait for that. We're going to have to wait essentially 16 days or so on what can be pulled out of here. What can this organization do to make us really eat our words? And we've been pretty vicious in what we've said to Jeannie. I've called her names. I've called Rob Pelinka names. It's been pretty bad. It's been pretty bad. These are the kind of things that you don't say to people in their face, because everybody's like, oh, you got to get out of here. You can't talk to people like that. That kind of stuff. Can they reverse it? Can they make us apologize for that? That we're going to find out in 2 weeks and some days, because that's honestly the only way the Lakers are going to have even the glimmer, an inch, a half inch of a shot of getting somewhere this year. And when I say getting somewhere, I'm talking about championship. They have to do something in the next 2 weeks, and they have to get an impact player.
They're going to have to make both those first-round picks, Joe, unprotected. Do you agree with me on that in order to get that impact player from what we've seen?
I don't think you can do that unless that impact player is going to be playing for the next 8 years for your team.
Then they probably won't get that impact player you speak of.
No. And it has to be protected. There's no other way.
Then they probably won't get they probably won't get the big fish that you and I and everybody else wants out there. Then, if that's the case,
Alan, I don't really know. I have really never known who that third guy can be. We've hinted at a LaMelo Ball, but I don't know why Charlotte would trade him. We've heard De'Aaron Fox. There's no way Sacramento's trading him there.
Well, let me say this on the Charlotte thing. Well, really quick, Joe, and I'll let you speak as much as you want. My apologies. They just traded away Nick Richards, who is a 7-footer on a very cheap contract who has some upside. Who knows what Charlotte's going to do, Joe, at this point? I thought that was a very stupid trade by Charlotte.
I don't know. Did anybody explain? Did their fan base explain why they made that trade?
Oh, their fan base doesn't even care, man. See how bad they are? They don't even show up for their own games.
So it makes it at this point, why does the NBA need to expand?
What do you mean?
I think the NBA, and I think Adam Silver needs to really evaluate the Charlotte Hornet franchise and possibly use them as a relocation situation.
Ooh, where would you want to see, Joe?
It doesn't matter whether they go
I'd go Seattle first.
Whether they go to Seattle or whether they go to Vegas. I think they'd be more. I think, if anything, at least one of those teams should be a relocation, and I definitely would be the Charlotte Hornets. The other is New Orleans. The other is New Orleans. I just don't think there needs to be basketball in those two areas. It's a waste of time. It is. You already have North Carolina. You already have Duke in the Carolinas. You don't need an NBA team there, and you can't get any kind of anything over there. There isn't a culture there. There was, believe it or not, in the 90s before. Heck, they were popular the first 5 years. They had Larry Johnson. They had Alonzo Mourning. They were battling the Celtics at that time, and they were really epic they were kind of like the side story during that time of the Bulls dynasty and the back and forth with Indiana and New York. They were kind of like a little side piece that was actually pretty entertaining. The Celtics versus the Hornets, and they were really cool games, last second shots to win games. It was really fun. But since then, they haven't really done anything. And you're talking about 30 years. So if you don't have a fan base and you've had an owner like Michael Jordan, you weren't able to take advantage of that. He ended up selling the team. What else
Did
is
he
going to
really?
Yeah.
Did he really? Wow.
Yeah,
I
a few years
feel
ago.
stupid for not knowing that. Damn.
Yeah. A few years ago, he finally got tired of dealing with just not being able to put it in together over there. But
Wow.
But as far as the Lakers are concerned, I don't know. I don't know what they can pull out here. No one really knows. But there are options if you use your noodle, and we're gonna have to see if there's a miracle here. Lakers cannot finish the season with the same roster. Vando, Jared. I'm not even gonna call him Vando. He doesn't deserve to be called Vando. Jared Vanderbilt is not the answer. He will not be the answer. He might help.
What's that? The other game we got, Joe, 5 games as soon as Vando and was it Trey or Wood come back, we're going to be all good.
Right. Who said that?
I forget who said that, but that was like the last post game we were on.
It's scary when I hear things like that because sports is a microcosm of society, and if you're delusional like that, or you're not watching, or you don't care that you're sounding not good, what do you do in your regular life? Like, do you go outside and see cars going back and forth on the freeway and go, you know what, I could probably cross through this. I feel like I can.
It's all good.
Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah, I can do it, right? I can walk at night without the stoplight saying walk. Oh, no, my favorite. I can go drive without the lights on. Nothing will happen. Folks, that's not how life works. You know what the scariest thing in life is, folks? For me? Dying in a stupid way. Not dying, but dying in a stupid way. Like walking next to a railroad track and tripping and getting run over. Something like that. Like something really stupid.
I agree.
So I highly recommend some of you out there, and I saw an article today, and I think that's what's kind of making this brew a little bit in my head. Apparently, there was a lady that got tricked online by the AI Brad Pitt.
Yes.
She actually sent this guy $850,000 because the AI Brad Pitt said he had cancer and he needed the money to, and this lady actually sent it to him.
That's not her.
Folks, whenever you sit there by yourselves and you're like, God, are people this stupid? That question doesn't need to be asked anymore. They are that stupid out there. And it's a lot of them too. Matter of fact, I want you to do me a favor, folks. I want you to go to the supermarket near your house. Go there around 5 o'clock on a Friday. You don't need to go shopping or anything. Just stand by the checkout area. And I want you to just gaze at the people going back and forth. And you'll see probably about 10 or 20 people that are I'm not going to say that word. They're completely spaced out. That's putting it lightly. You can see it in their body language. You can see it in their face. You can see so much just people watching sometimes if you're observant. So, so with that, I'm crossing this instead of using this to say that there needs to be something done here in the next 2 weeks so that we can have some kind of entertainment of positiveness to finish the season. Otherwise, it's going to be just crying and whining.
I wish you were here. I know, Joe, you have plans for us beyond all day on the Lakers trade deadline show, but I wish you so much that you would have been here the first year I did it with Laker Tom. And at the end, when he saw that Rob wasn't going to do anything, he went off, and you could see literally how read he was getting for late at that time. He's in his late 70s. Now he's 80 plus. I thought he was literally going to drop dead on camera. I literally thought he was going to do that because I was so scared for him because he was going off so much on Rob Pelinka for doing nothing at the trade deadline. It was hilarious because he was just so dropping F-bombs left and right. Oh, it was hilarious. But I don't know. Comes we've seen where he's done a lot at the trade deadline and done nothing at the trade deadline. So I have no idea. I just know that if we do decide to rebuild, he's not the answer as a GM as well. But John, let me bring it back to you. Once again, the Lakers do win 111-88. They're in sixth place, Western Conference, 23-18. Their next matchup is against Boston. And again, a good note, John, is that it will be on the second of a back-to-back and 3-point reliant shooting teams. Maybe a little bit tired, although they'll still be technically staying at the same hotel in the same city because it is just a short drive away. I mean, they needed something impressive to get their confidence high to go into a matchup against Boston. I think if Boston comes out hot early, I don't think it's going to be pretty at all for the Lakers. But if they keep it close to halftime, who knows? Playing back to back, Celtics might get tired, might give the opening the Lakers need, John.
I mean, that's about our only place we can hold on to hope right at this point. One of the things that makes, it's just so crazy to say as a Lakers fan, but one of the things that really makes the Celtics like great as a team is Joe Mazzulla, man. If you watch his post game interviews, watch him like when they lose. He said he has the funniest answers. He's like, "No, good. I'm glad we lost. I think we needed to lose because now we need to realize how much we suck and how much we actually need to improve and the things we need to improve on." He's just so big on just constant improvement, and they're not. I say this to say like they're not stagnant. Like I don't think that they're gonna come into this game saying, "Oh, it's the Lakers." Like who's been really struggling this season. Like we're just gonna roll over, especially being the rivalry. I mean, I think they're gonna come out and try to put it on, especially Jason Tatum. He's always trying to do something that's for the history books, right? He's always trying to do something that's memorable. People are going to talk about years down the line. So concerning, very concerning. We're playing a very elite team. Like I said, the only thing that's good is they're on the second night of a back to back. But hey, man, we better bring it. I mean, there's not really much like analysis or stats wise I could really give y'all for that right now. We better bring it though. That's all I know. Better bring out energy. Better not get out coached. And the reason we lose, if it's because of threes, is because of talent. I could live with it because that they are a better team. They are a more talented team. They do shoot better than threes. But if it's because of effort and AD and Bron don't show up, yeah, nah, I can't. I can't live with that. I cannot live with that.
Joe, let me bring it back to you. Doobie in the chat says JJ only trusts AR, AD, and Braun. It's obvious. The ball movement, as we talked about, yes, they got the win 111-80. And I don't want to really go too hard on them. But the one thing that we did see with everybody there in the chat at playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break on stage was the fact that the ball movement is just not there like it was earlier in the season. I think Doobie it was that made that observation. So I want to compliment him. And it was great to have Doobie and also Alan YST, new faces on the stage as well. But he made a note that the ball is just not moving. There's no ball and man movement. And I kind of said that myself about a couple months ago, but it kind of just, you just get used to the ISO ball that the Lakers have been playing that they fall back on like they did under Darvin Ham with LeBron, AD, and then now Austin Reeves getting quite a bit of usage on the ISOs as well. I mean, when you effectively kill two players by making them useless if you're not going to go ahead and spread the ball around, how much of a detriment do you think that is to overall the way the Lakers will be playing against Boston on Thursday?
It's hard to have ball movement when you don't really have a system. And the ball handlers like LeBron and AR are not. They're not really. They're not set callers. You don't ever see them trying to direct guys to go places. It's more they're controlling the ball. If someone dives a certain way, sure, LeBron can do a little magic here and there, but there's really no system. LeBron has never really played in a system, and it's probably when you take away all the BS that we talk about and all that. I think there was a little bit of a detriment on in his career away from his own self in that he really never played in a system that made you disciplined, a system that made everyone around him disciplined so that he could focus on doing the things that he needs to do and of course adapt it to the talent that he'd have. And at the end of the day, it's still basketball. You still need talent, but the system is the place you go when you kind of have the final it's the final option. That's what it's really for versus just playing iso ball and hoping the ball goes in. So I'm going to use this comparison again because it's important to make it make sense for everyone. I've called LeBron James the Peyton Manning of basketball because Peyton Manning, all he ever did was be the guy, just like LeBron has been the guy. He never really played in a system. He played in the Peyton Manning system. LeBron played in the LeBron system. You look at Michael Jordan, you look at Scottie Pippen, you look at Kobe, you look at Shaq. Those guys played in the triangle. They played in a system. And their talents were enhanced because of this system, mainly because the people around them are the ones that benefited from that the most. It's not really for the LeBrons and the Peyton Mannings. And the reason why Peyton Manning didn't win probably more Super Bowls was because there wasn't this system. It was always reliant on Peyton Manning. And when you're reliant on one guy in a team sport too much, you are usually going to have those closer games or those really even series usually not come out the way you want it to go. So to put some proof into this, Michael Jordan didn't win a championship until he was more implemented into a team concept system. Before then, when he was the guy, where the Detroit Pistons created the Jordan rules. So the Jordan rules basically is they made sure that they always had him going the opposite way that he wanted to go. And then they wanted to make sure that he wasn't in the air before they had to stop him from doing what he was about to do. And of course, they always sent a second guy, third guy. They didn't care about what anybody else did. See, that all stopped when the system didn't allow for the defense to do that to Michael. Because as soon as the system was implemented and it was learned and taught and executed, now you're like, we can't do the Jordan rules anymore because Steve Kerr, Scottie Pippen, Ron Harper, Horace Grant, these guys are going to kill us, which is what ended up happening at the beginning of their run. Shaq and Kobe, they had the Del Harris system. They had the Kurt Rambis system until Phil came, put in the triangle, and all of a sudden win 3 straight championships, right? Why? Is that a coincidence? Was it a coincidence? No, it's not a coincidence. It was too it was if you watch how the system was run, it makes sense why things worked out the way they did. How players enhanced their skills. Any NBA player who has more room to be effective is going to play well, whether they're stars or whether they're role players. And then, of course, when you have certain veterans who know their roles even more, who know the system, now they're able to teach those guys who are just new to the system to play that way. It's always going to go better for the team that has a foundation and structure. You can still win. You can still win. And LeBron is proof of this. And Peyton Manning is proof of it. You can still win kind of having a singular kind of philosophy, but you're not going to have everything. You're not going to be able to have everything because you're not playing tennis. You're not playing golf. This is a team sport. Everything has to matter. So the NBA has become kind of a systemless league anyways. It's essentially read, find the open guy, hit a three. I don't know any systems in the NBA. Do you, Gerald? Are there any systems? Is there anything that they're running in Oklahoma City or Boston or in Cleveland that is not is somewhat of a unique flex type offense or a heavily pick and roll type setup? Like, I haven't really seen a lot of it. There's a lot of implements of all those things. Even the triangle, you can see the triangle sometimes in there, especially with Steve Kerr. But you're not really getting like standard one type offense where you're playing it every time. And then on occasion, you remember you used to see this a lot when you play the Lakers, right? This means basically, Kobe, go do your thing, break off the triangle. It's a lot of it's a lot of stuff. It sounds like it's a lot, but just like anything else, guys, when you play and you prepare and you're executing, it becomes kind of second nature.
I mean, there are teams, like as what was said, Sam says, there are teams more reliant on using ball screens, different variations, but it's all variations off of the same thing. There's no like, when you go to college basketball, Joe, there's always like one or two teams that play somewhere in the country that sticks out with their style of play and doing something different. Whether it's successful or not, it's just something different. Here, it's just variations off the same thing. Somebody will run a little bit more ball, ball screens. Somebody will do a little more pick and roll than others. Somebody will play a little bit more zone than others. Variations because they have the personnel to do it. But the teams that are on top, Joe, are the ones that maximize their talent. And you utilize a system with those subtle variations that accentuate them best. And that's the difference between the OKCs, the Bostons, the Clevelands, than what we have as far as the teams in the middle, like the Lakers right now, is that they run their offenses and defenses better because they have the personnel that matches up to what they want to do.
And tonight you saw Washington do a lot of zone, and the Lakers ate it alive. DFS benefited from that a lot because he had a lot of room to shoot. And that played a part in that, but it also played a part in that they didn't think he'd make that shot. Tonight he did.
Mm-hmm.
And that
6 of 8, 16 points overall, Joe.
Yeah, he had his best game as a Laker. The trade might have not looked good at the beginning, but the trade had more layers to it than just getting someone like Shake and DFS. There was a lot of disdain with the previous player. Disdain as in the disdain of his execution in the game. It becomes exhausting and mentally taxing when you have someone talented who's not doing what they're supposed to do. So at some point there needs to be a change there. If you're not going to participate in making shots when you're supposed to make shots, especially him, because he's so in the negative when it comes to defense, you have to make up for that by making open shots and being the one of two real playmakers on this team. Really, it's like 2.5 playmakers if you count Reeves. But if he's not doing that, then at this point, you're just a detriment. You're just becoming a mental block on everyone. And DFS's value here, too, is there was a play, I think it was in the third quarter, where the shot was missed and he was able to get to the offensive rebound and put it back up in the basket. That's something that D'Lo's not doing. He's not going to be able to do that. DFS can do that. We've asked the participants next to AD to help AD. These are the kind of things that would help AD. I think AD was shooting that shot too. He missed it. DFS came from the baseline and tipped it back in. His height and his athleticism down there is going to obviously help get those second chance shots more than, let's say, a 6'3", whatever he's listed at. They list him at 6'5". He's not 6'5", 6'3". He's not going to be able to be that guy to go down there and make that. I mean, he doesn't have that kind of mindset. He could. I mean, Russell Westbrook's what, 6'1", 6'2"? He's able to do that kind of stuff, but that's kind of an anomaly because he's an athletic marvel, at least when he was in his prime.
Before I get to Nick T's question, real quick, I want to get you on this one, Joe, because Damazine is saying that he thinks that the Lakers can beat Denver in 5 or 6. I just have to clue him in and just remind him that Denver has beaten the Lakers 8 out of the last 9 times. So just
I can't tell if is it Dam what?
Damazine.
I'm just gonna call him Dom. Dom, I can't tell if you're messing with us. I think he also
said LeBron is better than Jokic right now.
Yeah, and he also said that AD is miles ahead of Jokic. Now, if you're talking about 2020, yes. However, since 2020, it's been a slow death for AD and LeBron. Jokic is running circles around LeBron and AD combined at this point. You have a guy that's about to win probably his 4th MVP. You can't make that assessment. It doesn't make any sense. It could be your opinion, but the opinion is wrong. It's Jokic is lights out better than LeBron and AD combined at this point. If somebody called me and said, "Would you like Jokic for LeBron and AD?" They would. By the time the phone left my ear, the trade would be done. So that's where the value is. As far as Alan, I think had mentioned the Jokic offense. I'd say that's the most visible offense of philosophy probably in the NBA. Jokic at the elbow, right? Jokic at the elbow, basically being a point forward. He's essentially Larry Bird, folks. He's playing the Larry Bird role, even though he's a big. Well, Bird was big, but he was more of a power forward he was a tweener, even in the 80s, believe it or not. But essentially, the offense that Denver implements is get the ball to Jokic. Jokic stays at the elbow. Why does he stay at the elbow instead of the block? Well, Jokic is a threat to also shoot from distance, right? This isn't the 2000s or the 90s or 80s anymore, where hey, you're gonna throw that ball down on the block. Everybody's gonna stand around and wait. He does a couple of moves. Drop steps, boom, makes the shot. Or if they collapse, then he finds the open guy and boom, boom, boom. Those days don't really happen. You can kind of stop that by collapsing the paint, and then at the same time you have athletes out there that are still going to be able to get to the 3-point line. But by him being the threat to shoot, now that opens up that lane a little more. It opens up more for mistakes on the defense to take advantage of, because Jokic's processing is very, very good. It's very, very similar to a elite quarterback. He can process things probably about a half a second quicker than his opponents, which plays a huge part on why he is so good. It's not just that he can shoot the ball and he can rebound and he can run an offense. It's because he can make a decision a half a second quicker than his opponent. Therefore, in the NBA, which is the highest league, guys, these NFL, NBA, an inch, a half a second, these things matter in these leagues, and it's consistent. It's consistent that he's like that, and you're never going to really be able to contain him. It's difficult. Imagine if Jokic had AD's athleticism. He'd win 10 straight MVPs. So imagine how good he is without that athleticism. It's because he can shoot from anywhere. He can pass from anywhere. The guy's 7 feet tall. He just has to do this. And wait, you want to come hang out? You want to go double team him? You want to triple team him? He'll just do one of these while Michael Porter Jr. is diving to the basket, or Aaron Gordon's diving to the basket, and it's a 2-point. It's 2 points. Done. Or if someone's sitting on the corner, it's a 3-pointer. He doesn't even have to worry about it. He doesn't even have to think. It's all natural. So to say that the Lakers are better than this guy is if you're saying that to believe it, okay. But if you're saying that to be real, there's really no other way to put this other than you don't really watch the game. You're not watching these games. You're not watching how these guys perform. If you think that the Denver Nuggets, because they're not sitting at the one spot, all of a sudden, oh, well, they're having a bad year. Folks, a lot of these teams are pacing themselves. These things are going to change during the playoffs. Trust me, they're going to change. And if you think that Denver's going to play like this against the Lakers in the playoffs or whomever, I know they lost last year, but they had, it happens sometimes. They had a bad quarter. It ended up costing them. The Spurs, back in the day when they were winning championships, that happened to them, to Dallas a few times. It's part of sports. Sometimes a bad quarter can mean a championship. The Lakers have taken advantage of that stuff for how many times? Portland in 2000 and hell, Boston in Game 7. Boston was up 13 in the third quarter. So I will not sit here as a Laker fan and be delusional and say that the Lakers are better than anything of Denver right now. Denver owns the LA Lakers right now. And until they don't, much like the Kansas City Chiefs in football, until Kansas City Chiefs lose, I have to pick them in the next 2 games. There's no other way.
Let me just touch on this with Robert, and then John, can you check out Nick T's question? I'm going to drop in the super chat. Thanks again, Nick T, for the super chat. But Joe, I know you think Denver is better than the Lakers, and I think so too. However, if Denver got worse this year and the Lakers got slightly better, in your opinion, has that gap at least gotten closer? I'd say no, because I think this team is worse than it was last year as far as the roster is concerned, and the year before that.
I haven't really wrapped my head around whether this team's better or worse than last year. I think their focus and their preparation this last offseason was by far worse. However, are they a worse team? Not 100% at this point, because they are in a better spot at this time than they were last year. That's because they were able to get out the gate a little bit. Imagine if they had the same opening they had last year, they'd be sitting at 9-10 right now, right? But they came out guns a-blazing. They were up 3-0 the first 3 games, and they were rolling pretty well. They were 10-4 until that damn Orlando game. That damn Orlando game was the first spark of crappiness. That's the one that kind of, in my opinion, started the bad juju. But it would have been another game if it wasn't that. Anyways, this team is not mentally strong. They're very weak mentally. They look like they're disinterested whenever they're challenged. When they play against bad teams, they seem to ramp up because there's no challenge. That's why they're 12-1 against bad teams. I don't know if it'll change. We have to wait and see. But my assessment is it's even if, let's say, they turned the switch and said, okay, we're going to care for 48 minutes. Do they have enough talent to do that? Is the system, whatever it is, going to allow them to equally all be on the same page and focus on as much defense as they can? And can they at least run a coherent offense for 48 minutes, not for 36 minutes? And that's always been an issue too. They always seem to play 3 quarters out of the 4 every game. I don't know why that is. I understand that the opposing team might have, let's say at halftime, they might, kind of work around certain things that you're doing, but you're a professional team with 2 really good players. I'd like to think that you can adjust to their adjustment a little bit, but it's not even that. It's just a lot of standing around. It's always standing around. People just stand around too much on this team. It's always been like that.
John, let me go ahead and get you in on Nick T's question. And then again, the Lakers do win 111-88. Nick T in the super chat. In fact, I've got 2 questions for you, John, because one was also in the chat directed towards you. AR shooting way too much and not efficient. He kept Wizards in the game on both ends. Reeves is playing too many minutes. Where is Shake Milton? Thanks again for the super chat, Nick T. Your thoughts? Where is Shake Milton, and do you think he could help? He got a sparing amount of cup of coffee here and there since the trade, but obviously is not one of JJ's favorites right now.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think he would make much of a difference. To be real with you, I think that Shake was more of a throw-in. To be honest with you, it was just this was part of making the wing defense better. This was part of trying to, add that other, I guess, 3-and-D player, enduring Finney Smith, and Shake was just a add on to it. Yeah, here's Austin Reeves, man. The ups and the highs and the downs and the downs and the low. We just seen a 38-point game, and we're gonna see we might not see another 38-point game, but we're gonna see another great game. But we're gonna see another bad game, and it's going to be these up highs and down lows, and we have no choice but to rock out with him. But to your point, yeah, extremely inefficient shooting tonight. Let me see, one of eight from the 3-point line. But we need someone to take these shots, and with with the D'Lo being out, and I'm not even asking for D'Lo to take the shots. I'm asking for D'Lo to play make. D'Lo being out, the ball's just going to be in his hands a lot more. JJ Redick has fully put the battery in his back. Like, go out, go get a bucket, go score, go do your thing. And he got the ball in his hands, the battery in his back, and the coach giving him the green light. Oh yeah, we're gonna see a lot of this, guys. We're gonna see a lot of this. And Alan, appreciate your question, brother. You said it
Let me just
best.
go ahead and say to our audio audience, you got
Yes.
any achievable trades that will turn our corner, John?
Great question. And you said it best when you came in right into our playback. I don't think anything changes, like, can change the trajectory of where we're going and where we want to go. I want to get to the finals. And like I said, like, even if a star comes to this team, and earlier, Joe, you were talking about stars coming and LaMelo coming and this and that. I think only way that happens, guys, is the same way Anthony Davis came. A star decides, yo, I want to go to the Lakers, and that's that. And you guys can't tell me anything. And I think that I just don't see that happening, and anytime um, in the near future. So I say what I've said multiple times here, guys. It is so sad to say this as a Lakers fan, but we're not going nowhere until LeBron leaves. We're not going nowhere until LeBron retires or LeBron leaves or whatever he does. So, like how my good partner of lighter descent, Joe Soro, has said, unless LeBron James wants to do us a favor and just retire at the end of the year, like, we're this is what we're rocking out with, and it's not going to get any better until he leaves. So, just being real.
Before I get to the throwdown, I don't know, Joe, if you've seen the video yet. John has posted in regards to something you might have said in regards to the GOAT for the
Wait,
NBA.
what did I post?
Who you thought the GOAT is as
Oh,
far as
I mean-
between LeBron James and Michael Jordan. Just lending into that debate that you put out there. But please go ahead and check out his latest video on that, and also his recaps as well of the games for the Lakers on Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner. Chris in the chat has done a very extensive trade with Atlanta. The only thing is, Chris, Onyeka Okongwu, after years of playing behind Clint Capella, has finally cracked the starting lineup, and they finally put Capella off the bench. So they finally made him a starter. So obviously they're finally going ahead and trying to see what his potential is. So I don't know if they're apt to go ahead and trade him. But then again, I said the same thing about Nick Richards, and you saw a stupid team in Charlotte go ahead and trade a kid with potential on a very cheap contract. So again, I don't think that they will accept that trade. But if the Lakers throw in 2 first-rounders, anything could be possible. But Joe, I don't think that really moves the needle as well. What Chris has proposed with Bogdan and Onyeka Okongwu.
Probably not. Kind of becomes probably more than likely a lateral move. Looking at where the Lakers are right now, it's exactly halfway through the season. They just played their 41st game. I know 2 of their games were postponed, but 41 games nonetheless. They'll make up the other 2. And they're on pace to do worse than they did last year by a game. They won 47 games last year. They're on pace to win 46 this year. I can't really get a gauge on the next 41 really, other than going by what I've seen the last year and a half, because they really didn't do anything to change that. Imagine if he had made a couple acquisitions that allowed them to win 5 more games. We talked about this last year and why we were upset at Darvin Ham, because he didn't value games. Those 5 games would have made those 5 games, those extra 5 wins would have allowed the Lakers to have home court in the first round and could have changed things. Things seem to be working out the same way here. So does Rob Pelinka look at the schedule and go, I got to figure out a way to get this team an extra 5 wins? If they get an extra, just get an extra 4 wins based off the pace they're at right now, and they win 50 games. 50 games probably gets them at best the 4th seed with the way the competition is right now. I don't know if they look at it that way.
Do you think the 6-game road trip, if they do well in the 6-game road trip, where they're at Golden State, at Charlotte, Philadelphia, Washington, New York, and back at the Clippers, once again, do you think if they do well on this road trip, it might change your mind? Because that's just before the trade deadline ends. It comes up. Yeah, just want to make sure, let you know.
There really isn't any other choice. They have to make up for the few games that they lost on this home stretch that they shouldn't have lost. Every game matters at this point.
Joe, somebody's asking you to compare the Lakers to an NFL team. Good question.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It's actually eerily similar to the Steelers.
Explain why.
They continue to not address the problems that they have, i.e. Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh. They still, at the end of every year, have the same issues, and they get bounced early because of those issues. I wouldn't say the Bengals, Alan, because the Bengals had some really weird luck this year. Really weird luck. They should have won 4 more games, but that happens in the NFL a lot. The Bengals, watch, they'll be in the. Don't be surprised if they're in the AFC Championship game next year against probably KC or Buffalo. Bengals are going to be back next year, and they'll be back with a vengeance. Joe Burrow this year went into. He was teetering on elite. He's elite now, and Jamar Chase is the man right now. He is the number 1. Justin Jefferson is great, but Jamar Chase is a level above him. That guy is unreal. And you put those guys together for the next decade, the Bengals are going to have a chance to do a lot of things.
Let me ask you this real quick. A quick football question, guys, and stay with us, please. Do you think the Bengals will go cheap and not keep both wide receivers?
Absolutely, because Mike Brown is in charge. I knew
you were going to say that. I'm not a Bengals fan, but I knew you were going to say that.
Absolutely. Now, what they might do to avoid it is they might franchise Higgins and then pay Jamar. And franchising players is always a touchy situation. It's always a touchy situation.
What does that mean?
I don't know how that's going to turn out, but it usually
doesn't
turn out
franchise?
well.
Is that what you mean?
Huh?
You franchise, like making them face your franchise?
So an NFL team can franchise a single player. So when you franchise a player in the NFL, that means you have to pay him within the top 5, 10, whatever. I think it's top 5 for the receivers. For you to franchise a player, you basically kind of stunt their free agent ability unless a team signs that guy. Then you have to give up draft picks, so like a first and a third.
Okay.
Teams don't do that for anybody usually. If it was a quarterback, maybe, but not for receivers and running backs, things like that. So the only way they keep them is if they do end up franchising, but they got to pay them a lot of money for that year. So top 5 money, let's say the average pay for receivers is $18 million. That means you have to pay him within that range. Now, the NFL has a hard cap. So if they're not in a good cap situation, that becomes a harder deal to do, especially when you're probably going to have to drop. Jamar Chase can get, honestly, $180 million and probably get 120 guaranteed at this point for 7 years, 8 years. And you're already paying a franchise quarterback who's going to make anywhere between $40 and $50 million. It's harder in the NFL because that cap is hard. It's not a soft cap like the NBA. Although the second apron in the NBA
it's like a hard cap.
Makes it a hard cap. But you have to get there, right? Like in the NFL, you can't get anywhere. You have to either restructure the contract, which means you still got to pay later. It becomes a whole just headache if you're not willing to pay, which the Bengals, the owners of the Bengals are notoriously sleazy. Notorious. Mike Brown, old owner, is probably one of the worst owners in NFL history. So the Lakers, the Lakers do, they're most of them are cheap. Well, look at baseball. Everybody's bitching and whining about the Dodgers signing everybody, which is hilarious too, because almost everyone that they signed, not the ones that they were already in, hell, even the guys that were in-house, they got offers for more money elsewhere. They still stayed in LA for less.
Come on, I don't want to hear it.
Are they really out? They're not outbidding anybody. These players, I'm not talking about one either. I'm talking about 4. Roki could have got $10 million with the Padres because he comes in as a minor league player, right? 2 years before he was supposed to come. He goes to the Dodgers getting paid almost $4 million less. Teoscar Hernandez got offered $6 to $7 million more by the Sox, decided to not take that, come to LA. The guy that just signed today, the guy that just was a surprise, he took less because he wanted to win. The guy before him on Saturday, Tanner Scott, he had an offer for $90 million in Boston. He took $74 in LA. How is that? Oh my God, they're taking everybody. Dude, they took less money to come to LA.
Yeah, they want to win. So LA's a good city.
Y'all, like losers mentality. This is something that's very important in sports. When you're a loser, you complain. Even if you're rightfully so. Just like all the years I used to hear about the Patriots always getting everything, yet Roger Goodell bent Tom Brady over till he took that 4-game suspension for deflating the football, right? If he was such a Patriots fan, why didn't he just let that go? When winners are winning, losers always try to find a reason why that person's winning. It's not just in sports either. It's in life. Just look at the second. So they show a video of Jim Bezos, the Amazon guy. He's working in a closet practically all in the 90s, right? The guy's working in a closet. He worked how many hours a day? God knows how many hours a day to build a business. And all you hear is, well, he got a loan from his dad. Well, he got a loan from this. I'm like, you stupid fucking idiots. You're going to get a loan somewhere at some point when you're building $1 billion fucking company. You're not going to just go do it with your own money. That's not how it works. That's why you're broke. Okay? Like whether it's from his parents or whether from a bank or a loan from a friend, my business was started from a loan from my friend. Am I going to be all privileged now? No. You know why? Because I paid him 30% on top of that. That's how the world works. Somebody helps you. They make money off their money. I get to build something, and now look where I'm at. That's how it works. It's the same thing in sports. You invest. Guys invest in their bodies. Guys invest in what city they want to go play in. They want to invest in their family being comfortable. It's not just always about, money, and somebody got a handout. No, that's not how it works. So at this point, going back to the subject at hand, the Lakers are halfway through the season. Their investment now is tied to February 6th. What they do before noon on the West Coast on February 6th will likely set the stage on how this is going to end.
And with that, it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Sorrell, along with John Costa and me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching. Truly appreciate it. Well, I was just like, okay, I was on another tab trying to look at the trade assets.
Honestly, I thrive in those uncomfortable
on his
times.
words. Well, sometimes I jump on when Joe's talking because I anticipate he takes pauses sometimes. So I try to anticipate his pauses, whether at the end of what he's saying or like sometimes I get it because it's during what he's saying and I missed it. So what can I say? It's radio.
I think I've talked a lot tonight. Usually I don't talk this much because my water's already out.
There you go. You might be talking a lot on Boston, and that's what we're headed on Thursday, John. It is, of course, the Lakers and the Celtics. Rivalry week continues. Who's that, Joe? Do you think the Clips?
So,
hold on. I'll get you that one in a sec, Joe. John. Actually, you know what, John? Let's go ahead. Both those guys. Damazane said, do you think the Lakers would beat the Clippers in a series right now? If everybody's healthy, including Kawhi. I
don't, to be honest with you. I think we would lose that series. I'm just gonna be honest. I think we'd get out coached. And I think that if everyone's healthy, if Kawhi's out there playing, I'm just gonna be honest. I'm not. Not taking this. Talk to me, Joe.
No, I don't think so. I'll tell you why. The reason why I don't think so is number one, I don't think there isn't any story that'll tell me that he'll be healthy by then. The other thing is playoff basketball is different, and James Harden has shown for decades, it seems, that he can't really come through when it matters. He's had spurts in certain series where you thought he would, but he can't close the door. He just can't close the door.
What about Zubats, though? You saw how he dominated the Lakers on the boards on Sunday. They can't figure that out.
I think the Lakers. I think the Lakers will play better against. They play better in the playoffs.
Absolutely,
they play better in the playoffs. The only problem is the issues with Denver is they can't close out Denver in those last 12 to 15 minutes of the game. If they come out up 15, 20 points like they were against Denver, against the Clippers they'd probably bounce the Clippers in 6. Because I don't think Clippers are capable of doing it. What Denver would do is Denver would feel you out. Denver played Floyd Mayweather against the Lakers. So what they would do is they would sit back for the first few rounds, first and second, and they'd kind of feel you out, get you on kind of a false sense of security. And then as soon as the third quarter, fourth quarter starts to come in, you start seeing a little bit more, moving around and then getting your ass jabbed the whole time.
And then you just get hit.
But okay, and Robert, to your point, says the Lakers are built for the playoffs. I don't necessarily agree now that that's still the case because we've seen in the playoffs D'Lo get exploited for his lack of defensive abilities. Austin Reeves get toasted for his lack of defensive prowess. Vando, who is our stopper whenever he's out there, supposedly, he gets played off the floor because of his offensive lack of skills. So the Lakers just don't have two-way players to support the Lakers through a long playoff run anymore. I just don't see it. I just don't see that how LeBron and AD are getting any better enough to the point that the Lakers are going to win more than one round in the NBA playoffs this season. I just don't see it.
And for me, What I would struggle with, and the reason why I'm saying I think the Clippers would get us, is because of I was told fully healthy Clippers, and that means that Kawhi Leonard is the 1A and James Harden becomes the fiddle. And yes, James Harden has historically choked in the in playoffs, but in every single playoff series that he's been in, except when you think of OKC, he's had to have the ball in his hands and make decisions. If Kawhi Leonard is out there, the team runs through Kawhi Leonard, and I just think that that team is deeper, is better coached right now, and I just think that that they would unfortunately get us. It would. The only thing that I do disagree with you on Gerald is I do think we're built more for the playoffs, only because playoffs you get that extra day off, like you get that day off, and you get to lock in on one team. And LeBron's historically been just absolutely amazing at honing in on one team, and he knows their plays better than they know their plays a lot of the times, because he's just so
But
locked in.
but the Lakers now at this stage, John, with LeBron's advancing age and AD not getting younger himself, they're more reliant on the other players on the team, or need to be, on a playoff run. If you want a long playoff run, you have to have guys that are playing alongside that are going to pick it up. And DFS uh, had a great game today, but that's just one game. He is a 10-point a game player normally on this on any given NBA team. He plays better defense than probably anyone on the Lakers outside of AD, but that's the problem. There's no good defenders on this team. Is in the bottom 10 in defense. This is something that even the other previous 2 seasons, the Lakers were not as bad at defensively. They are just a mess defensively, and I think you guys aren't getting the problem in giving us a solution on that. Robert, you, for all the things that you say and all the things that you're talking about, and your optimism oozing out of every comment that you're making, which we truly appreciate, by the way, and we highly encourage it. Reality sets in. This team defensively is worse than it has been than the previous 2 seasons. And ultimately, if you can't play good defense in the playoffs, you're not going to win in the playoffs.
I mean, I hear you, but I don't know. I mean,
You guys are banking on
we're-
vintage LeBron and vintage AD in the playoffs. That's what you're
well,
banking on.
I mean, it's what we have to bank on, and it's because it's like regular season. You get back-to-back games, and I'm definitely not banking on the 40-year-old Bron on a back-to-back. So I'd rather bank on LeBron that gets to have the day off and gets to lock in on one team and knows, their offense and uh, just more predictability. That's what I would say. But to answer the original question, I think I think the Clippers would get us, and any type of more break for LeBron, um, in my opinion, is more built towards him. To be honest with you, and Anthony Davis, we know how he is. Um, he gets to decide the games that he wants to bring it, wants to not bring it, and I would hope that he's deciding to bring it all those games because he's had the days off, playoffs wise.
Gustavo says, can someone tell me why today when Brownie came in with 2 minutes left, came in with 2 minutes left, he said a Brownie, and did nothing but steal a ball. People were going crazy. They loved mediocrity. Gustavo, I pointed it out like in the chat. I said it was just like Chuck Nevitt decades ago. It's a novelty. Bronny James is a novelty. Nothing more than that right now. He is not an NBA player. He is just someone because of his last name. He is on the team. And anything that he does out there, people are just going to ooh and ah because of who he is and what his name is on the back of his jersey. The jersey that has sold 500,000 or more out there on NBA.com. Joe, do you have a answer for Gustavo on that that differs, or?
It's a circus. He's the clown that comes on the court, and people are like, yay.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. So, Sama,
It's not something I want to waste my time. Honestly, I would prefer not to talk about that.
All right.
It plays a huge part in why the Lakers didn't improve this last season, during the offseason, because their focus was too much on things that didn't matter.
their supporting cast this season, I think, is not as good as the previous 2 seasons, and I think that's going to be part of the problem that the Lakers will run into as they move along with the season, unless something gets rectified at the trade deadline. But we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, John, you've got a recap going. What else you got going on at Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner? A certain argument that you stated your case on.
We need to, me and Joe, we need to do a video or do a stream of not only our one-on-one game and not only our lunch, but also giving our cases for the GOAT. But if you want to check all that out, you guys got to go subscribe to Lakers Corner. Please do check it out. That is on the come up. That will happen soon. That is a page where I drop all type of Lakers content. I do live streams, and I do game recaps. I'm about to go do my game recap right now. I do a shorter game recap in 2 minutes, and then I do a longer, more extensive one on my YouTube page. If you want to check it out, my Instagram, my TikTok, my Twitter, it's at Lakers.
Is that stuff back up again? The TikTok?
It is. It is back up again. And honestly, I mean, I agree. Like it's stupid or whatnot, but I built a pretty big fan base on there. Almost 7,000
What's
people.
TikTok? What's TikTok, John? I wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know. But it's at Lakers24 if you want to follow me on TikTok. I do game recaps, highlights, and all that. And on Instagram, it's at Lakers _ corner. And then Twitter, it's Lakers Corner #2. But besides that, good Lakers win against the Wizards, I guess.
We'll take it. We'll take it. At this point, we'll take anything we can get as far as in the win column. Joe, Boston's on the horizon. We'll see what happens. As I said to Robert, I think the best bet for the Lakers is if the Clippers play them close with a victory or close loss. They make them work all 4 quarters. And the Celtics on Thursday come in a little bit tired, and the Lakers
haven't been winning those games against the teams playing on the back end of a back-to-back. They actually played worse against those guys. Yeah. The Lakers are going to lose this game likely. The big thing now is, are they going to be able to win the next 4 games after that? Because it's pretty favorable on their side, even though they're going to be on the road. They're playing Golden State, which suck ass. Charlotte sucks ass. Philadelphia sucks ass, and Washington sucks ass. And they're all going to be early games.
Damazine has been okay. Stay on this one for John, because Damazine has been spamming this in there at Joe. Please admit LeBron is better than Kobe and MJ and is a Tom Brady of basketball. I tell you, for me, Damazine, I can't admit that because Jordan is the best player I've ever seen. Go ahead, Joe.
LeBron is the Peyton Manning of basketball, not Tom Brady. Michael Jordan. Tom Brady is the Michael Jordan of football. I saw by the way, folks, hold on. I saw live and sometimes in person Michael Jordan in his prime, Tom Brady in his prime, LeBron in his prime, Kobe in his prime, Peyton Manning in his prime. I saw all those guys Sundays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Sundays again, Mondays. I saw all those players play, okay? All of them. All of them. You want to know who the best quarterback I ever saw in terms of just quarterback? Dan Marino.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
What an arm. What an arm.
Y'all don't know who the hell Dan Marino is, and you know, it's your fault, not my fault.
91 Dan Marino.
Okay, but because he didn't win championships, it's hard for people to put him in any category, right? The closest guy that I saw in terms of passing like Dan Marino is probably Patrick Mahomes. But he's more of a Brett Favre to me. Brett Favre is pretty damn good too, but, you know, he's Brett Favre. he should have won more in the end too. But anyways, you're never going to win the argument, guys. Michael Jordan is the greatest athlete of the last 125 years. That's it. There's no discussion. You can't really argue it. He had everything. He had no weaknesses. He had no bad. He never failed in big moments. This guy never lost in the Olympics. He never lost in the finals. He never lost in the one championship game he was in college. The guy won in every big game, and he was the star of every big game.
Correct me if I'm wrong. There was a Jordan rules, but I don't remember any or recall any LeBron rules. Do you?
Negative. There was the closest thing that we saw to a rule was the Kobe stoppers. As far as how people played against LeBron, all you got to do is watch the 2014 San Antonio Spurs. You want to see how to stop LeBron? Watch the 2014 San Antonio Spurs. LeBron James came up lame in game 2 with cramps. I don't talk about that. I always kind of wanted to wait for the right moment. Today's the right moment. I'll tell you guys right now, folks. You had to rip Kobe's Achilles out to get him out of the game. And even then, he still hit 2 free throws. Michael Jordan, you're going to have to shoot him in the head.
The flu game? What is it, 102,
Flu game,
103?
it was technically food poisoning. Technically, but flu does sound better. No one in my viewing life played basketball better than Michael and Kobe. No one. Not Tim Duncan, not Shaquille O'Neal. No one mastered the game more than Michael and Kobe. And the reason why Michael is ahead of Kobe is because Michael had another gear that God gave him. There was another half a step that was faster, and his phalanges were about an inch longer on each finger. LeBron will have the greatest basketball career, greatest statistics basketball career-wise, in terms of numbers and the kind of the accumulation of everything. No doubt he'll have the best career, but he's not ever going to be a better player than Kobe or Michael, especially Michael.
Chris just dropped that in. Joe, I'm curious to know which players in the NBA you would like to see as the Lakers starting 5, a realistic team, not some super team.
As far as like when LeBron leaves, boy, what I love, especially now that Luka's not going to qualify for the All-NBA this year. I'm curious on seeing if he's going to be eligible for the Supermax. If he's not, does he test the market after the 2026 season? If he tests the market in 2026, I would love to see the Lakers go after Luka that summer. That could be a franchise-shifting moment for the Lakers. And as far as building a starting 5 from that, geez, I don't know. I think maybe AD is still around at that point. I think that would work really well. So let's say AD stays. He's still going to have a contract through then. So let's say Luka decides to test the market at 2026. The Lakers acquire him because LeBron retires, right, next year, right? So you have Luka and you have AD as your two pillars again. And then as far as who would play the other 3 positions, geez, maybe one of them is a draft pick. Let's say Connect. Maybe Connect comes through as a Bogdan Bogdanovic type player where he's a set 3 who is a threat from 3. So you have those 3 there. I don't think Max Christie will crack that starting lineup. I don't think Rui would. At that point, maybe I would have to get somebody like a Lively or a Gafford to fill in those other spots. Something like that. A good center next to AD, like a Lively, and then a good fifth guy that can score a little bit with Gafford or something. I don't know. Lot of players that could come out of that in the draft this coming year and the following year. So it's hard to start. It's hard to assess. But as far as what I know for sure, Luka as your guy, your main, and then you have AD still there. You have Connect if he develops well, and then a really good center. A really good center. Who's going to be a good center that's developing right now? I think that would have to be in the draft possibly too.
Well, on that note, it is, of course, the Lakers fast break. The Lakers do win 111-88. They're now 23-18 on the season, still sixth place in the Western Conference. We'll see if anything changes for the better when the Lakers play on Thursday against the Boston Celtics. Of course, we'll be here on playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break, and of course, the best post game that's out there, right there, the Lakers Fast Break. Okay, Robert's one more Robert question for you, always before we head on out. He seems to drop them. And Alan's there as well. Okay.
Where's that pissed at Darren?
He hasn't been on in a while. Maybe scared him away.
Punk.
Joe, could DFS make MPJ struggle to score against, combined with Vincent Christie he's just trying every which way, Joe, to eke out a Lakers victory over Denver.
No, they can with the way the Lakers seem to make decisions on how to double and get around screens.
Switching.
Their switching is horrible. Well, probably as bad as any in the league. So let's say they run let's say they run a set at the 20-foot mark on the left side, and Jokic is there. I'm not going to go to the elbow. Let's say he's further out. So Jokic gets the ball, and AD is kind of maybe an arm's length because you can't get too far away from Jokic because Jokic can make that shot, right? He could step back and throw the ball in. That's another thing that kills you with Jokic. He could literally take 2 steps real quick, and his release is really quick too. And he'll make that shot in your face. So now AD is drawn away from the basket. So now somebody dives, i.e. Aaron Gordon, and then let's say DFS is guarding MPJ. All MPJ needs to do is as Aaron Gordon dives, people are going to be kind of focused on that a little bit. And MPJ goes around that maybe, just kind of running around like Reggie Miller, maybe gets to the corner, and someone is going to likely screen, let's say, DFS. He won't get around quick enough. He'll get to the corner, and then Jokic will pump fake, do whatever, throw it to the corner, and PJ, boom, hits a 3, and that's all she wrote. That's pretty much what they did to the Lakers the last 2 series. Absolutely killed them. MPJ is more of a detriment than Jamal Murray for the Lakers. That's the one that really kills them, especially when it comes to when they have a lead. As soon as that guy starts making shots, that's when that lead dwindles really quick. And then Jamal finishes it.
And then, of course, Robert's statement right there totally gets derailed off the track when he says the ability to play 2 bigs, which is something JJ wants to do more. But one of those bigs is Jackson Hayes. Have we not said at length how bad Jackson Hayes his defensive awareness is 0. Did you not see it tonight? He got beat on more than one play. He is a minimum player. And you're banking in an NBA playoffs, one of the most important times of the NBA season. You're counting on a minimum player with 0 defensive awareness in Jackson Hayes. That should tell you right there all you need to know, Robert. Unless the Lakers can do something different before the trade deadline. So that may change things, but we'll see. Joe, my friend, been a great show. Appreciate you and John stopping by. Everybody that stopped by on playback.tv / Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate all the comments out there. And you're right, Norm. When you're only playing Connect 8 minutes a game or thereabouts, don't expect any development from him as far as his game improving or anything like that. I know Vincent playing substantially more is irritating to a lot of the fan base as well. And that's just a sore subject we have repeated on this show many, many times. But Joe, the Celtics are on the horizon on Thursday. We'll be back tomorrow with more fun and games here as far as for Lakers Snack Pack. Any last thoughts before we head on out?
No.
But yeah, we agree with you, Norm. They are definitely wasting this kid right now. So.
I wouldn't necessarily say they're wasting. There's a little bit of rookie nagging, maybe, but we're not there during practice. We're not really there seeing how Connect really connects. It's hard for rookies. You're talking about a guy that's used to playing 35 games.
And his defense is, admittedly, his defense is
and
just
his defense isn't good. When it comes to young players, it doesn't matter what sport. So if you go to the NFL and you're not like this top-notch player, right, which Connect in football or basketball terms is kind of like a second or third round pick in the NFL where he was picked. When you start getting into the late teens, that's usually the second to third round picks for the NFL. So he's that guy, and he might, those guys usually need to kind of prove themselves, especially if there's depth already at that position. They're usually going to play special teams and things like that and earn their respect. Connect right now is not necessarily getting the respect as a rookie, and you also have to factor in that his defense isn't there, and there might be a grind wall at this point. It happens all the time. There's a wall that rookies hit. These guys are not used to playing. They don't play 82 games in any time in their lives except when they get to the NBA. They usually play about 30 to 40 games a year. And there's no pressure. There's no pressure compared to the NBA pressure and those things. And then on top of that, he's in LA. And on top of that, he is an LA Laker. And on top of that, shooters in LA for the Lakers always struggle to shoot consistently. So all the things are compiled on him. That's why it was important to let everybody know. Yes, I know he scored 30 points. Folks, this is the NBA. It can be anybody's night at least once or twice. But this is about consistency. And right now, he's not very confident in his shot. His defense is shot. He needs to somehow stop thinking so much, which is what rookies do. And he needs to start understanding what he's doing so that he doesn't have to think about it. Until he starts to do that and bring back his confidence, that's when you'll start seeing him develop a little bit more. And you got to have to wait, guys. This is not a first-round pick that's supposed to, shock the world or show the world who he really is. No, this is still a 17th overall pick, a guy that dropped in the draft because of deficiencies in his game, and you're seeing them right now.
And with that, it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro, a.k.a. Ox1947 at LakersBall.com. Stop by there if you want to go ahead and have more questions or conversations with Joe there on the Lakers or the NBA. Also, as well, of course, he has a company, if you are interested in Southern California area, in getting a new lawn and other things that he does as far as landscaping is concerned into something much more I guess, magical than it is today. Go ahead and check out what he has done at Simblades, simblades.com, and then, of course, the game that he is helping to finance, helping a young man's dream come true. The indie fighting game of the year, Corrupt, COREUPT, on Steam. What does my old lady say? Not always good things, Tough. Let's just say not always good things. Uh, she's still waiting for that Mr. Beast money to come rolling in. It's not there yet. For all the hours we put in, it's just not there yet. But when Joe starts his own channel with the Dodgers Fast Pitch, he will know of the pain I speak of, and I'll leave it at that. But Joe, always great to have you here, my friend. Looking forward to a snack pack tomorrow, and then of course the game on Thursday. Where I don't know, is it still a rivalry between the Lakers and Boston? It seems so homogenized now. I mean, when they go back to Boston, the Boston gets a little chippier. They get a little boisterous. LA, same thing, but it's just not the same, Joe. Not the same.
Well, they've won a championship in a 5-year window, both of them.
Mm-hmm.
They're both still relevant. This is not the Cowboys where they've sucked ass where it matters for almost 30 years.
Yeah.
Boy, the Niners, they went from 5-0 in Super Bowls to being the Buffalo Bills of the 2020s and 10s. Different eras, different times, man. But for the Lakers and the Celtics, looking back since 2008, you're looking at a pretty good run here. What, 16 years? No, yeah, 16 years. They're 3-2 in terms of championships. That's 5. That's a third of that time has gone to more than a third of the time. No, third of time. Yeah.
Chris says he needs him some turf.
Where do you live, Chris?
How far up?
Oh man,
what's your area?
Well, here I'll explain. So today I had to get up early again to go get permits in Beverly Hills. By the way, if y'all ever do any work in Beverly Hills, go to City Hall before you do anything. You will learn a hard lesson if you do anything without those a-holes knowing what you're doing. So finally, I had to get permits for trash containers, so that my guys can dump old pavers in that damn thing. Otherwise, they'll tow that sucker in a second, right? So I had to get that. I had to get 2 of them out of impound, pay for that. I had to pay for permitting to have those containers there, and I had to go through their guy, not my guy, which means I'm probably going to pay more for that. And I had to stop work order because we worked on a Saturday. So,
well, what is your before
my area is all of Southern California.
Okay.
And I can go to the Central, I can go to North, I can go to Arizona, I can go anywhere, but you will pay more that way.
Okay.
But my guys are the best in installing turf. There's no one on the planet that installs it better. I'm sure there are, but it's going to likely be tied. It's not. They're not going to be better than us. We are damn good at what we do. Lakers nightcap is really supposed to be now.
I'll do it. I told them we'll do it tomorrow.
Here. So we have a lot of early games. We have a lot of early games
on the road trip.
On the road trip, we're going to be doing a lot more nightcaps. Don't worry. The nightcap at 11 is becoming harder when we're doing a post game.
You guys want a 2-hour post game?
Yeah, exactly. Plus, exactly. If post game was an hour, I'd do a nightcap after, but essentially this is the nightcap. And I have to sleep, guys. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be. I'm trying to.
The chat.
Yeah, for my body, it's to get into that. What is it? The circadian I'm already off it, so it already pretty badly. But I don't want to sleep at 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't want to drink at midnight. I want to do the shows. Try to get the shows maybe around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at the latest. But the early games help that. But guys, I'm preparing a Dodgers show. Okay, I'm still going to be here. I'm still going to be on the Lakers Fast Break because it's Gerald's show. But I am going to be doing my own Dodgers show, and it's going to be pretty big. It's going to be a big show here, guys, because this next run, we're talking about a decade. The Dodgers have been a phenomenal team for the last, 12 seasons? There's another decade left. This thing is going to be there's a very good chance that the Dodgers might have one of the greatest runs in sports history. I mean, even the Celtics only went 13 years in terms of their run. The Dodgers look like they might have a 22-year run of this excellence. They've won 11 division championships. They lost the 1 year by 1 game, winning 106 games. And then they ended up beating the division winner in the playoffs to make up for it. Unfortunately, they lost Atlanta because they were so gassed after a crazy season. And then, of course, they've won 2 World Series in 2020 and 2024. And Friedman and that office they're going for not only the jugular, they're going after your family, they're going after your neighbors, they're going after your friends at this point. If the Dodgers don't win the World Series this year, it's going to be an epic failure. And it's going to be huge news. If the Dodgers win the World Series, it's going to be an epic success and huge news because there's going to be every rat, troll, and crybaby loser that's going to come out of the woodwork and use their excuse machine again on why the Dodgers have been able to get players for less money and still beat your ass. Man, I don't know what's going on tonight, man. It just seems like the questions have just been...
Yep.
Some days are
Going
just
right
on.
there.
Some days are just on, I guess.
Alan, I'll tell you what, tomorrow we'll take a look, whatever it is, a nightcap or a snack pack. We'll talk seriously about
tomorrow. Will be tomorrow will be easier. Because it's not going to need to be at 11 o'clock.
But we'll talk trades tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. And we, get ready, guys, because in a couple of weeks, we're going to have a pretty epic trade deadline show. I think I'm going to take that day off, and we're going to be here probably from, I'd say, playing it safe. I could probably be on for 4 or 5 hours.
I'm going to get all my panelists to I'm going to get all the panelists to come on to at least make a stop by and see what they can do. The Lakerholics, Laker Tom, Laker Nick, all Henry Hill, all those. Oh, did you hear Henry is going to the game, the Redskins game?
No, I didn't know that. That's great.
Yeah, in Philly, I think he is. Yeah, he said he was. He was going to go there with a friend, man. He's going to go with us. He's rooting for the Redskins. So he might not be able to join us for the trade deadline.
I do. There is something that I would love to see a rematch of Super Bowl 26. I really would. I would love to see Washington against the Bills, and the Bills went out this time. I just think that story would be cool. You have Jared Allen. I'm sorry. You have Josh Allen versus this up and coming future franchise star in Jaden Daniels. I think it would be a really good story, but I can't pick against Patrick Mahomes until he loses.
I was just saying, check out the trade special. I mentioned it earlier, the Lakers trade deadline special. I think it was 3 seasons ago with Laker Tom. Near the end as he was going off. But yeah, we'll go ahead and definitely do something for the trade deadline that hopefully you guys will remember. Hopefully we'll remember it because the Lakers hopefully will have a good trade or two by then, but we'll see. But once again, it is the Lakers winning 111-88 against the Washington Wizards. Again, they are 23-18, still 6th place in the Western Conference. I truly appreciate everyone. Chris, Robert, Tough, 805, D1. You guys are all incredible. I truly appreciate it. Robert, again, I love your enthusiasm. I love your positivity. I wish we could share that same positivity. As I told you in the comments, I hope at the end we are wrong and you are right on the Lakers, because you are trying to find every which way to state your argument, and we love it uh, as far as for the Lakers. So absolutely keep it going. We love it. Absolutely. But yes, Alan says, I want to send Joe a Bronny jersey to wear on the deadline. Is that possible?
Oh, no. No. I want to address D1's comment. D1, no one really owns anything in this country. If you really want to get technical, you want to know how I know? If you own a home, try not paying your property tax and see what happens. We're all tenants.
805, last question of the day. Would you rather be eaten by a white shark or grizzly? Thank you, 805, for this kind super chat indeed.
Shark.
I'll go shark.
Yeah, because a grizzly slowly eats you.
Hopefully I will have done some surfing, or at least some nice swimming in the ocean first.
I'll go out like Quint.
Let's say Quint. 805, if I'm in Hawaii, I'll say the shark. I'll leave it at that. If I'm in Yosemite, then it's the grizzly. Then there you go.
That's a great question. Wow.
That is, yeah.
You know what, though? I guess if it's specific to just you're going to get eaten regardless, but obviously I'd rather battle a grizzly than a shark because I can move better on land than I can in the water.
That's true. Good point.
But if it's for sure you getting eaten, yeah, I think a shark might be the easier way. Maybe they can puncture the liver quicker instead of eating me. They just puncture real quick and I bleed to death right away. Boy, that would be miserable.
And on that ominous note, it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. Now we've been asked pretty much everything now in the years of doing it. It is, of course, Gerald Glassford and Joe Soro. Thanks again for watching and listening. We'll be back, whether it's a snack pack or nightcap. We'll talk trades for you, Alan, on tomorrow's show. We'll make it and center around the Lakers trades and then preview Lakers in Boston coming up on Thursday. But again, we truly appreciate you stopping by. Tell your friends, if you got Lakers fans or NBA fans out there, tell them about what we do. Ask them to like and subscribe. We need all the help we can get, always from your friends right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.
Ugh.